Hey guys, it's Ruffles Kerman, and today we are going to be designing a P-38 Lightning in Kerbal Space Program. So it's been a minute since I last uploaded a video. I'm in college now, so I have college work to do. Yay! So yeah, it's been a little while, and while I do apologize for that, I do have a life outside of my channel, so yeah, there are other things. But I am back, we're making a video today, and we're designing a P-38. So if you don't know what a P-38 is, you can Google a quick image, and basically it's a plane with two fuselages and then a tiny fuselage in the center, as you can see right here. So there's two propellers, one on each fuselage, and then the cockpit is in the center in its own little bubble type of thingy. And then the two fuselages are connected by the wings and by the tails. It has almost a third wing in the back as a horizontal stabilizer, which makes it a pretty cool plane. Although I have to admit, I've started playing War Thunder and I have the P-38 in War Thunder and it is not good. But we can make it better in Kerbal Space Program because guess what? We build the planes here, so we can build it as good as we want. Hacks included. No, just kidding. The biggest problem of designing this plane is going to be the propellers, because in KSP, propellers are sort of a hassle, so they're a little difficult to design, and there's a few ways to design the propeller. So right here we're designing the propeller base, basically what the propeller is going to go on, and for a single engine plane, the propeller twists one way, and you have to counteract that torque with a reaction wheel and with your little control surfaces or whatever, little thingies to fix your torque, you know? Big words today. But with a twin prop plane, you can have one engine rotating clockwise and the other engine rotating counterclockwise, and that counteracts your torque. Unfortunately, as you will see later, I didn't do that at first and it didn't work out so well. Okay, so for designing propellers and making them actually work, you have to bind certain actions to your throttle. That way when you throttle up, the propellers actually go. When you throttle down, they actually slow down. Because the jets are automatically bound to the throttle in KSP, but the propellers are not, because you can use rotors for many things. So what I've started doing is binding the torque limit to the main throttle. That way when you throttle up, when you start low, it starts really low like that. When you go higher, the propellers go a lot higher. I used to twist the propeller blades themselves on the throttle. That way the throttle was always, or the propellers were always spinning the same. But then the propeller blades would change, which would change how much thrust you are getting. Anyway, I realized here that these rotating rotors... Ugh. I cannot speak today, and I'm just gonna blame that on college, because you can blame everything on college. Anyway, you can change the thrust from your rotors, or from your propellers, by changing the angle of the blades. That's what I used to do. But right now what I'm using is changing the torque limit of the rotor, so the angle is the same. So once you find the optimal angle, you keep that, and then you use a cal controller to bind the torque limit of the rotors to the throttle. Anyway, what's happening on the screen is that I just changed the propellers, so one of them rotates clockwise, one of them rotates counterclockwise, and that thus cancels the torque on my plane so that it won't spin around in random directions and not do what I want it to do. I also should mention I'm using the BD Armory mod, which is that nose cone there. It's a radar nose cone, and then I'll put a few guns on this because I do intend to dogfight with the P-38 because it was a World War II plane that was for dogfighting. Alright, so the first test run here, they're still rotating. Oh no, they're rotating different directions. Okay, good. Anyway, this is the problem. See, once we go fast enough, they're not generating a lot of thrust, as you can see from the purple and yellow arrows in front. That is a problem with the angle of the blades, so we're just going to have to find the optimal angle for these blades, which shouldn't be a big deal. We just tweak them, then go a little bit and tweak them. It also shows that one green line, or a few green lines, on one of the propeller blades or propellers, and on the other one, I don't know why. But here we are. It's flying pretty well. It has enough thrust, so it's time to do a little bit more. editing. Right now we need to change the center of mass and the center of lift, so the center of lift is directly behind the center of mass. That makes it a lot more maneuverable. And if you're building a fighter plane, you like maneuverability, because if you're not maneuverable, you get shot down and you die. So maneuverability is good. For those of you who may be a little bit annoyed that I clipped all of the batteries into the fuel tanks, I justified this by the fact that these rotors don't take fuel, they take electricity, so I just emptied all the fuel tanks. And if they're empty fuel tanks, you could put stuff in them, right? Yeah, whatever. To make it more maneuverable, I'm also adding some flaps or control surfaces on the front of the wing, which isn't very normal, but I decided to try it to make it a little more maneuverable, and it did actually work. Alright, here is test flight number 2 or 3, I think it's 3. So we fixed the thrust, we're working on the maneuverability, and that is very maneuverable. Having 2 engines and a lot of wing space with lots of control surfaces is actually very helpful for maneuverability, surprisingly enough. Yeah, P-38s, in Kerbal Space Program at least, P-38s are amazing. So I think all that's left is to fly around a little more, and then we'll edit a little bit and add some guns so we can properly destroy anything in our way, because that is the point of Kerbal Space Program. You destroy something, whether it's your own rocket or your friend's rocket. Yeah. Alright, time to add guns to this amazing little plane. Actually, it's not very little because it has 2 fuselages. Anyway, time to add guns. So we're going to add some Vulcans and then some little Browning guns. I like to keep my dogfighting planes weak, because if they have like 50 missiles and a giant Gatling gun, whatever the giant one's called, like a GAU, if they have all of that, then the dogfight's over in about 3 seconds. It's much nicer to shoot somebody and to have them like blow half a wing off after a few minutes, and then, you know, have some fun with that instead of destroying them immediately. But as you can see, this is flying really well, and I'm actually really happy with this so far. So I think we should have some fun with it. Okay, now we have a second P-38, so we can put an autopilot on one of them and try to shoot it down. So I'm going to take this one off, and then once it's high enough we can just put the autopilot on, and we can take the other one off and go shoot down the first one. So I put on guarding on the first one. We're on different teams, so it should be shooting me down, and it landed. So okay, try number 2. We're both in the air, it's coming at me, I'm gonna come at it, pew pew pew, shoot it down, and that did not go very well for me, or it. That was like the classic War Thunder. You shoot each other, you kill each other, and then you run into each other's dead bodies. Yeah. So that was dogfighting. It would be a lot nicer to have a real other human in the other side, but currently my Wi-Fi at college is not good enough to get on a server or to run my own server. I had to buy a new Wi-Fi card for my computer, and even still, I still have some issues. So right now, I'm just sticking with the AI, unfortunately. But we have a P-38 that works, that flies really well, and that can shoot things down and blow stuff up. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please like the video and subscribe, and if you didn't, please tell me why, and I will blame it all on college, because I can, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.